Hey guys, Tom Davidson back here with Landon Hutchison, Nelson Gord, Steve Goody, and today we've got Randy Merryman on here with the board. Randy, thanks for coming on with us. Appreciate you letting us steal a little bit of your time. And got a couple questions for you today, if you don't mind asking or answering for us, and I'll have Landon go ahead and jump on in.
Yeah, no problem.
So you guys have already opened up. You've had a couple weeks under your belt. Just kind of wanted to know what the differences are this year compared to years previously. Obviously, the stands aren't as packed and there's not as many coaches, but what have you noticed that's been a real emphasis for your guys to getting back to into the swing of things, to say the least?
Well, I mean, I knew that it would take a little while for them to get back. I didn't know that they would be quite as rusty as, not having the spring season. We started our pitchers off pretty slow, and that's caused a lot of kind of issues trying to play games. As we're getting guys that can only go 2 innings or maybe 3 innings, and so it's really kind of putting a stress on the rest of the pitching staff. Other than that, we're very fortunate where we live. I feel so bad for Nelson and some of the guys out there that don't have this opportunity. I'm very, very blessed that we're in a county that hasn't had a ton of the COVID. We have a private facility, all turf, and have the ability to play. It really, if you were to come watch us play, it would look fairly normal. And I know that's kind of hard to say, especially in, with present company on the call. But there have been fans and there's baseball, and it kind of looks normal. And sometimes I feel guilty about that. Then other times I'm super pumped that we're out there getting to do it. But I would say on the field, it's pretty rusty. It's evident that the kids missed their spring season.
Yeah, and Randy runs the Midwest Nationals, and he's a big part of basically running the Mid-America baseball brand for our tournaments. On the tournament side, I know we talked about this the other day. What kind of differences are you seeing in that, and what we have to do to prep for an event, what we have to do to allow fans to come in, and maybe the differences in the games themselves and how we can operate those?
Every place is a little bit different so far. One city we play in there for a while was not letting anybody outside of 50 miles come in and play on their facilities. Last night they changed that to 100 miles, which helps us. Some places are wanting us to do full cleaning of the dugouts and facilities between games, which means we can't play as many games as we normally would on tournaments because we don't have enough time. There are some curfews put in place. Some places, umpires around here want to call balls and strikes from behind the plate, but they are required to wear a N95 mask doing that, which is inconvenient for them, especially as the weather gets a little bit warmer. But overall, I think that it's fairly normal, but each place has a little bit different restrictions on what we can do.
So as far as the recruiting side of things, has it been tougher to get these guys looked, or are you putting more emphasis with your players, or are you having to do more work in general, or do you think that the system's been pretty good with your background and you just know having connections in general?
Yeah, probably way different for our club than a lot of them. This is my 19th year doing this, and I was a college coach before that, and I have, I'm in scouting with the Rangers, so I probably have some advantages that some other people don't. Long list of friends across the country and people I can talk to. But obviously nobody's watching the games. Division II, as starting yesterday can, potentially have events on campus if their school was allowing them to do that. And so we've kind of made some arrangements with some Division II programs to do some midweek games, some scrimmage type situations. We've hired a professional video company to come in and do video stuff in games and in a workout format that we're sending to coaches. And really, it's just, it's not a change for me because I was working that way anyway. I'm a big believer in relationships with coaches is where we get fits for players, and I've been doing that for 19 years. I don't necessarily believe in kind of the huge meat market showcases that's how kids get to the proper place. They might get to a place but not to the proper place, and so it really hasn't changed a ton. Probably the biggest impact is that, I'm having to calm parents down who don't necessarily know how things work, and they think when the stands are empty, that means their kid's not going to get an opportunity to play. It just means we have to do things a little bit different.
Yeah. So you said that you hired a recruiting service. Basically, that was actually one of my questions that I had written down was how important is it to you and your guys that you did something like this? Like, are they, hopefully they're grateful that you're willing to do something like this to help them get more exposure, considering that it's very limited right now.
Yeah, it's been big, and I mean, even if it's like Pastime Mid America, their events, they're all scout events. We had some guys doing some of the pocket radar and video and tweeting in that first weekend, Memorial Day weekend, and just so happened that we played a team out of Arkansas, and they had a big draft prospect guy, and if you saw the tweets, I was blowing 95 past our dudes in week one, and it's interesting. I had like 7 or 8 pro scouts reach out to me, said, I saw that on Twitter. We didn't get a chance to see him in the spring, obviously. He's on our board, but this was super helpful. Tell me what you saw in person versus what we saw in the video. And so, being hooked up with tournament providers, like we are, that do some of that stuff for the kids. And then as the individual program, the club teams having video and those things, I think it's vitally important. And it's going to be, I was on the phone today with a Division I coach who obviously can't get out. And, he's like, if you have any video, if you have anything that you can send to me on these guys, send it to me. And so that's been a good partnership that we hired that video group to come in and do some of that stuff.
So Nelson, do you have anything to go off of with that as far as the recruiting side of things, or anything tech wise that you want to kind of build off of what Randy was talking about, or any questions to him that you may have?
No, I would just say, obviously you've been in the game for a long time, done a lot of those things, but just some like best practices. I know you said you're having the game footage, but then you're also running them through a workout. Do you have a say, or do you have some advice for the guys on how to sequence that, or what's been most effective when you're sending it out to different coaches? What have you seen to work over the years?
Yeah, I think that the technology has gotten so much better that what we really strive to do right now is to get the videos less than 2 minutes long. And so what we're doing is we're running 60 laser time, and we're videoing that. We're doing some indoor hitting, 5-6 cuts with pocket radar, kind of lay over the screen with the exit velocities. We're using blast motion sensors to give them the hand speed and the bat speed. We're doing obviously standard radaring, overlaying that on the screen for the pitchers. We're doing defensive work out there. We're really just, we're probably taking, 15 minutes worth of video on each kid and condensing that down to less than 2 minutes. And then we're making sure that we overlay on those where the kid's from, his high school, his height, weight, his ACT, GPA, and any of the pertinent information that those guys need. And really, I've been very happy that we've been able to condense that into something that I think is usable for a coach, because, as a former college coach too, we'd get stuff like that. We just delete, we don't want to watch a 7-minute video or something that, not edited out. And so I think the tech side of that has helped a lot.
Being that we have these dead periods and stuff, do you think that it's going to affect how your guys have been recruited, or do you think that, or across the board, not even just your guys, do you think that there's going to be some sort of effect just talking with other coaches?
I absolutely think that, in all transparency, we've had meetings with our players and parents that said that what a Division I, high major Division I player looked like in March does not look the same as it does today. And I also see it from the pro side, working with the Rangers, that, Major League Baseball cut the draft down to 5 rounds. They were going to be cutting the draft anyway. They were going to be cutting low-level minor league teams out anyway. I don't think they wanted to do it to 5 right now, but the virus has kind of helped Major League Baseball to get to where ultimately it wants to be, with just a couple levels of minor leagues, the Dominican academies, and that's just going to do nothing but trickle down to the NCAA schools. And so, I think that college baseball at the NCAA, high major level is going to look like A-ball. I think it's going to be, 21, 22-year-old guys. I think that the the high school guy trying to go to a high level Division I. I think that's going to become fewer and far between. I think Division II programs are going to get much stronger. I think junior college programs are going to get much stronger. And I know it kind of sucks, but I think overall the game of college baseball is going to get better by this. And, players that maybe were those really fringe guys of should they have been playing college baseball, they probably won't get that opportunity, which it's sad, but ultimately for college baseball, it's going to be better. And I'm encouraging our players right now to look very strongly at good Division II programs and junior college programs right now. I had a prominent Division I coach tell me 2 weeks ago that if I had a 95 to 98 mile an hour thrower, he couldn't take him. That they are so log jammed on their roster and their scholarship situation and those things. And he thinks it's going to be a prolonged thing and not a quick fix thing. Some people are saying, oh, it's going to be 2 years, it's going to be 4 years. He thinks this thing might be a while. And when you combine what professional baseball is doing and then the college baseball, the COVID situation, I think it's going to change college baseball forever. I really do.
In your opinion, do you think that we've seen some proposals, like Bakich came up with a proposal for Division I to, add roster size, things of that nature for the Division I level alone. Do you think things like that are possibly going to happen, considering what's going on with major leagues? And also, too, you have budget cuts. So if you add maybe 5 more players, that helps your school. That helps a lot of things. So could you actually see something like that happening?
I think that will happen. I see something like that happening. I don't know that necessarily changes, my perspective on the fact that our kids should probably start looking at good Division IIs and junior colleges. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to add a few spots to the high major, Division I programs. But I just think the bottom line is that, college baseball is going to get a little bit older. It's going to get a little bit more physical, and it's going to have those guys that, normally would be, a mid-round draft pick guy that, would get $100,000 and go, and those guys are going to be going back to school. And I just think that's kind of what baseball is going to look like. I do think that'll help a little bit, and I do see something like that happening, but I'm not for sure that it's going to affect programs like mine. Our locked Division I draft guys, they are who they are. It's those guys that were kind of the fringy Division I players to begin with that now really need to, go to a different level. And that's going to help those different levels tremendously.
Yeah, to that point, I had 2 teams in the last, I don't know, probably 10 days, 2 coaches, whether they're dads or, elite travel ball coaches, ask if we had thought this would lead to, a grouping of these top level programs, like having a varsity team at the University of Michigan and a JV team at the University of Michigan, and seeing whether or not they're going to take this approach of having multiple teams at those higher levels for some of these guys, or if it's going to trickle down and eliminate a lot of these, like you were saying, your fringe players.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think that the University of Michigan's, Notre Dame's of the world, Arkansas's, I would doubt that they have a ton of interest in junior varsity programs. I see where, Division II schools, especially private schools, where the advantage is to get those kids to come on campus and, pay tuition and do that. I see that, staying, but I'd be surprised if high majors did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, Randy. I appreciate it. Does anyone else, Steve, do you have any other questions that you have for Randy?
Muted.
Yeah, sorry. Glad to see you find the pocket radar technology we built useful, and curious if you've used the Smart Coach clips directly, the one where we embed the speed into the clips. Has that been part of the stuff you've been referring to?
Yes, sir, it has. Been very, very, very helpful. We've been using that a lot. We use that when we can. And that's when Tom had the All-Scout event a couple weekends ago and the Wiggins kid was throwing. That's the exact technology that we use with the Smart Coach, and then, tweeted that out, on the Mid-America Baseball pastime. And, it's interesting, since the scouts haven't been able to get out and watch anybody, they're using that the best they can to try to make up for some lost time.
That's what we were hoping we could do. We're finding it's helping a lot of families out, a lot of athletes and coaches. So glad to hear that. And yeah, we'll keep doing more of that hopefully in the future. So thanks for letting me know. It's been helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's on our like our pastime All Scout, Mid America All Scout Twitter pages there. That kid was 95 and he's got a boatload of views on there after that thing.
Good.
I mean, that was first weekend right out of the gate, 93, 95. And I know someone had reached back out because I think I commented on there that I think he let somebody foul one off at some point. But you know, that was pretty early for that. I know but they managed him well. They only let him go 2 innings. And you know, I think that's the proper thing to do this early for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was my team, and so he went too many innings because that was 2 innings where we didn't do anything but punch out. But yeah, I think all that stuff is really going to be helpful for guys, and you know, just I would encourage, as you guys are talking with the clubs and the teams, and you know, to think outside the box to get whatever kind of info they can, but really to, you know, start, you know, having their players take some ownership in their careers as well, and communicate with the coaches of the clubs. Hey, you know, I have interest in going to, you know, UND or, you know, someplace like that. And, you know, see if the coaches can make connections, then see if they can get the video to, you know, somebody like Landon, so he can look at it and then make a decision about, you know, hey, we have interest in you. And when things, you know, open up, we're going to get out and, you know, watching a game, and maybe we can make some connections that way.
Yeah.
Real quick, Nelson, got a little congratulations for you. I heard you got a little announcement. We got a new coach on the board now.
Yeah, so Randy, you're gonna have to send some of your guys up north. I know we were joking about me moving down south, but it'll be announced this week. I'm taking over the Harper College baseball program. So just about 9 miles away from home. Get to stay right here.
Wow.
Junior college program, and you know, looking to build upon the 5 wins that they've had over the past couple seasons, and you know, turn it into a national contender. So excited about that. And
one more field for our tournaments in the Chicago area. That's great.
that was part of the long drawn out negotiation process, was access to that for my good buddy Tom Davidson.
Well, it's hard to get fields there. We've got 3 minor league stadiums, but everything else is difficult to get a hold of.
Congrats, Nelson.
All right, Randy,
Yeah, that's
appreciate you coming on with us.
You guys, yeah, anytime, and hang in there, and hopefully, you know, things will be a little bit better as we go forward. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
You guys.